in questions, and what we want to do is make sure we get some of buyers' most important questions answered for them. They are oftentimes confused about what the difference is between a mortgage lender, a mortgage broker, your traditional savings bank or local bank that they may have a relationship with. And a lot of times we hear, whoa, is that person a mortgage broker? We know it's not good to work with mortgage brokers. And I think there's a lot of confusion in what's the difference between all of those different types of lenders, because I think it's possible to get a mortgage from any of them, but there's also some pretty large differences. Could you talk to that for a few minutes?
Absolutely. Well, all three absolutely can get you a mortgage and can get you to the closing table on time. But the method at which you're going to have through the process and on the closing day will be a little bit different through each of those three different entities. A mortgage lender is somebody like myself, where it's a company that not only makes its own decisions from the processing, underwriting, and closing of the transaction, but also funds the loan directly. So when you work with somebody like myself, the entire process is controlled by one single company. So that makes things oftentimes a lot more speedy and a lot more smooth. And that's a pretty important thing. It was an important thing to me when I'm choosing a mortgage lender or a mortgage company to work for. A mortgage banker, or I'm sorry, a mortgage broker is a little bit different in that their underwriting is done by another party. So,
Okay.
let's just say that the borrower is working with XYZ broker. That broker is not lending his or her own money to the borrowers. They're actually not even making their own decisions. They're taking the application, but submitting that information to another lender that ultimately makes the decisions and sets the conditions on the approval of that loan. It's up to the broker to chase down all the conditions and all the documents to get to the end company, and then ultimately it closes, but not necessarily in that broker's name. And
Okay. So would it be fair to say that a mortgage broker is kind of like the middleman, but they would be the point of contact for the borrower from application to closing?
absolutely.
Okay.
Although sometimes that third party or bank or lender that mortgage broker is working with, sometimes people from their company would also be involved in the transaction, phone calls, emails to the buyers as well.
And they would often be referred to as the investor, right? Where the mortgage broker is getting the money from.
That's correct.
Okay. So the borrower might have to deal with the investor directly as well as their mortgage broker.
Absolutely. And finally, a traditional bank is a direct lender. And what happens is a group of people who make decisions on loans for that bank exclusively will have the say on whether or not a loan gets approved. Not a terrible entity to work with, by all means. There's big banks and small banks all across the United States that do a fantastic job. The best benefit, I think, of a bank is that you don't have to really wait very long because most of their decision making takes place within their own bank. But a lot of times they are very stringent on criteria. Maybe they're not as lenient on credit, or maybe if something doesn't fit exactly into their box, they don't want to do it. Um, every transaction we do is different, and therefore, I don't think people should be subjected to just working with something that fits nicely into a box because everybody's circumstances are different.
Right. So would it be fair to say, when buyers are looking for different loan products or different available loan options, which of these three do you think would have the most available products or different loan options for a borrower?
A mortgage lender, first and foremost, probably has the most outlets for loan products because a great mortgage lender will constantly be looking for avenues to satisfy our buyers' needs and desires. So I personally feel that what we have to offer as a mortgage lender is far superior than anyone else because not only do we get to offer a plethora of products, but we also get to underwrite them ourselves, process them ourselves, and close them ourselves too.
I'm George Kemble here from Allied Mortgage. George, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what your company does, and what you represent?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today, Adam. As you said, I'm George Kemble. I'm a mortgage banker with Allied Mortgage Group. I've worked for Allied now going on 7 years, and I've been in the mortgage profession now for 23 years. So I'm not just somebody that that came into the business recently or during an uptick in business. I've seen the ups and downs, the goods and bads of business, and currently we're in a fantastic market. So when you wake up every day and you do what I do, and you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives, it really is a good feeling. And every day I get to experience that.
Terrific. George, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Well, the two best ways to get in touch with me is always first my cell phone. My cell phone number is area code 856-287-0760. And my email address is gkemble, that's Gkemble, at alliedmg.com. And people can feel free to call at any time. I work from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. every single day. That includes weekends, because
Fantastic.
a lot of people go out and look for homes on the weekends. And if they want to put in an offer, they should know that their mortgage person is standing by waiting to help them.